Hey guys, how are we doing? So the budget dropped yesterday and lots of people have their knickers in a knot. They do. But for the everyday person, it's not as bad as people are claiming that it is. To be honest, those that are going to be hit the hardest are the ones who have got the money to wear it and big business. Now, I know that the first thing that people are going to say about that is, oh, but the businesses have to pay this amount of national insurance. Well, yeah, but small businesses get government grants and etc. to cover all of that. So what's the problem? And quite frankly, and there are some that are coming out now, small business owners that are coming out and going, well, if I have to pay my staff more, I'm going to shut my business. Well, do you know what I say to you? If you can't afford to pay someone a proper living wage and are paying people minimum wage to work for you, which means that they're not able to live a proper living wage life, they're living hand to mouth, then you shouldn't be hiring anyone. Bottom line, you can't afford to pay people a proper living wage and you're bitching about it? Don't have a business. Go back and work for somebody else for minimum wage and see where you go with it. Because I'm pretty sure that's why you started your own business, was because you weren't being paid properly or respected properly or looked after properly. Don't you think? Yeah. And quite frankly, if companies are now having to paying their staff more and paying for their national insurance, oh no, but shareholders won't get as much money. I don't care about shareholders. These big companies, big organizations, mega corporations have lost sight of what is important when it comes to running a business. Number one is your customer. Number two is your staff, who also happens to be your customer, depending on your business, because, there's only so many tractors you can own. Right, but you know what I mean, okay? The point is, people aren't going to buy from you if they can't afford to. And if your product is priced off the wall so that you can pay people who have nothing to do with the everyday running of your business, who probably don't even shop at your store, who probably have nothing to do with it and all they want to do is collect some money? Really? People deserve better. And if any of these companies start more price gouging, because that's what you are doing right now, is price gouging. And I can prove it. Okay? Because let's look at the offers from Morrison's cards and Nectar cards. So to have a Nectar card, which is a points rewards card that goes through places like Sainsbury's, okay, they put special prices on for people with a Nectar card, which is why I got a Nectar card in the beginning, because I wanted the corn on the cob, right? Fresh corn on the cob. That's what I wanted. That's what I got. And I got it. It took a while. It took 3 hours to sort out the signing process because it's a nightmare, but I did it. I've been looking on this website at their offers for Nectar card holders. Now, when they're having things like a £22 piece of meat, like a leg of lamb that would normally cost 22 quid, and is now available for Nectar card holders at 14. What? You can't afford to do that unless all of that other money is profit. Now, I know people go, oh yeah, but they've got these special things and la la la. Yeah, they're at the end of the aisles. They're at the end of the aisles and they still get 4%. Okay, so don't be going, oh, but we're taking a loss. No, they're not taking a loss, actually. And they also get paid by different brands to have certain product placing on shelves, which is why you see the brands first and the cheaper stuff down below, because they've paid for the privilege of having you at eye level. Okay, so don't be going there. I've known about the way that supermarkets work for a very, very, very long time, and I'm very angry at the response here. And I just, certain things I really need to get off my chest about this. Now, the supermarkets are price gouging. They're price gouging. How do we know? Record profits. Record profits. Record dividends. You can't have record dividends and profits without price gouging if you've changed nothing. So you've not changed what you're paying for your products. That includes farmers. Farmers aren't being paid what they're supposed to be being paid. So their prices haven't gone up. But the supermarkets are expecting to get their products at the same price, even though their costs have come up because the feed stores are charging more and the electricity and the gas are charging more, which is where they're heating up their barns and got lighting and all of that kind of thing. And their warehouses. So their prices have gone up, but the supermarkets aren't paying anymore. So for the last 2 years, they've been throwing this thing out about avian flu being the reason that we don't have enough eggs on the store at Christmas. And then charging us more for the eggs that they have got and rationing them. When in reality, the egg farmers have actually come out and said, that's not true. We have no issues with that. In fact, I've got 150,000 eggs sitting here waiting to go to the supermarkets, but they're not paying us what we need to actually survive and what these eggs are worth. But they didn't tell you that. They put a nice little sign up in the thing saying, oh, because of avian flu. So the supermarkets are price gouging. They're not paying the farmers anymore. They're not paying the staff anymore. In fact, they're trying to get rid of staff. There's only a couple of supermarkets that are getting rid of the self-checkouts because, you know, they're causing issues. So what is going on? We have laws in this country to protect people from price gouging and profiteering, and yet the supermarkets and other companies are not being held to account for this. They're not being held to account. Yet if we did it, like at the beginning of lockdown when certain people were, you know, filling up garages full of TP and baby food. One particular person that I knew that had a lot of baby food, they'd literally gone in and cleared the shelves of baby food and then were charging something like 50 quid a tin for it. I mean, they got done for it, which was great, and the baby food was taken off them and distributed to those who needed it. The point is, she was held to account. The other people trying to flog things at stupid prices during lockdown, they were held to account. So why are these companies not being held to account? Why are they not being made to charge their, pay proper wages? Why are they not putting their customers first? In the mid-90s, in Australia, granted not in this country, but in Australia, supermarkets had 4% profit. And it was capped by the government. Capped by the government. It's not anymore. And now they're paying $6 for 6 bread rolls. What? $6 to $7 for 6 bread rolls. We used to pick those up for 80 cents, $1. Even when I was there 6 years ago, it was, $1.50 maybe. And that was for the cheese and bacon ones. That's not even just the plain ones. Are we going to allow that to happen here too? Because we are allowing that to happen here too. That's the issue. Now everyone says, oh, we need to support the farmers. Yes, we do. But what the farmers are charging is what it costs them to produce what it is that they're selling. And those who are selling online or through other facilities are only small producers. We only produce 17% of the food that we eat in this country. I will say that again. We only produce 17% of the food that we eat in this country. If you want that to change, things have to change. And that means holding big companies to account. That means demanding from your MPs and those in charge that they do their jobs. That they hold companies to account for price gouging. This is not inflation. It's theft. It's absolute theft. And not just by companies. And not but just by businesses. I'm not talking about the mum and pop shop down the corner. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about the individuals that go down who live above their shops and go in there and they work their asses off day in, day out. I'm not talking about them because they're the only ones who are actually trying desperately to earn a living. Everybody else is out for what they can get. And that is not the way to run a business. That's not how I was taught to run a business. Not when I did my small business management degree. It was never about the shareholders. It was always about the customer. It was always about your staff. Because if you don't have your customers and you don't have your staff, who have you got? What are you going to pay your shareholders? If you don't look after your frontline people and your customers, you're never going to be able to look after your shareholders properly. Because eventually people will just stop. They'll just stop. Because they can't. They can't anymore. They cannot do it. They cannot pay the prices. And I can absolutely guarantee you that these companies are going to put their prices up again to make an example of the fact that they're being charged more taxes. Well, quite frankly, I think that a law needs to be put in place to stop them from doing that. They have enough money to cover this and more. They could pay their staff a proper living wage, and they're not. And a proper living wage, by the way, is double minimum wage. It's double minimum wage. And even if they did that, their shareholders would still get loads of money. Even if they dropped their prices down in the supermarket by 25 to 50%, which, you know, I mean, if they're making 53% profit, or in some cases 120% profit, in other cases 253% profit, and in one case 500% profit, who the hell do you think you are charging what you're charging? And what the hell is the government going to do to stop it? Because quite frankly, they should be putting a stop to it. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, because all sides are the same. And I don't care who argues otherwise. They're all the friggin' same. They're just wrapped up in a different colour. But they are all the same. Didn't used to be like that. But it is now. They're all the same. They always have been the same. They've all got the same agenda. And when we suddenly realise that there is no sides, it's all part of the same distraction, then you actually start realising that all of these guys are in it together. And they're doing it to make it so that we don't form an alliance between ourselves as people. That we don't stand up together as people. And we really need to start doing that. It shouldn't matter who we are, what we believe, what colour our skin is, what religion we are, whatever. We should be getting up and standing up against this. And we're not. Because we're so busy infighting and bitching at each other and pointing fingers that we're not standing up together. Now within the prepper communities there's this big thing about having community. Well, where is it? Because I don't see it. Oh no, you can't be part of our gang. You don't believe the same things we do. Really? Really? Or other people feeling like they can't be part of it because it's all sort of one-sided whateverness. Surely it shouldn't matter. It should not matter. Pointing fingers is not going to help. The only thing that's going to help is people actually coming together and letting the government know in no uncertain terms that we will not tolerate this anymore. That the price gouging has to stop. That a profit cap has to be put on big business. Especially when it comes to necessities of life, meaning food. And that their staff need to be paid properly, because I'm sorry, but really, 50p? 40, 50p? Really? That's supposed to be an upside to minimum wage? Minimum wage in York should be 23 quid. 23 quid. That's not just for teenagers, that should be for everyone. 23 quid. Because that's what you need per hour to live here. My son is really lucky. He works at a store that is paying, that the store manager fought to get London wages for his staff. But he's still on minimum wage. And he gets £17 an hour. Which is London minimum wage. And so he works 60 to 80 hours a week. Just to make ends meet. Just so he's got some in his pocket. Just so he's got stuff for emergencies. All of that. And if you cannot afford to hire someone for £24 an hour, well, let's round it up to 25 quid an hour. If you can't afford to hire someone for 25 quid an hour, then maybe you shouldn't be hiring anyone. Let's be honest. People are not commodities. People are people. They are human beings. They're our brothers, sisters, cousins, mums, dads, aunties, uncles, kids. They mean someone to somebody. And they should mean something to those who run businesses. And they should be paid accordingly. So if you cannot afford to pay someone a proper living wage, don't hire anyone. Do the work yourself until you can hire someone. But don't go bitching about a 40p pay rise. Really? Get out of business. Go and work for somebody else if that's what you want to do and that's your attitude. Honestly, because seriously, you shouldn't be in business. And you shouldn't be bitching about it. And if you can afford to send your kid to private school, you can afford to pay the VAT. Trust me. I went to private school. I went to 2 different private schools. Actually, more than that. Well, there's First Hale at Grange, which doesn't exist anymore because the people who ran it died. Private school. They died. It went... Property got sold. Then I went to Redmaids in Bristol. I was there for 2 years. And then I went to St Clair's in Porthcawl. And I was there for 2 years and then another year. I came back to there after we'd been to New Zealand, and I went to another private school there, which I absolutely hated. I abhorred it, and I refused to go to school. I used to run off every day. So they took me back to St Clair's in the UK, which I got expelled from, by the way. But that's a story for another time. The point is this. My parents could afford it. I was very lucky that my parents could afford it. But they could have also afforded the VAT. It's not that much. It really isn't. And frankly, why don't we just do what Finland did? Finland made it illegal to have private schools. All schools were public, so everyone was on the same footing. So all the good teachers had to go into public schooling. And if you wanted your school to do good and wanted to put some money in, you had to put the money in to that public school so that everyone could benefit, whether they were rich or not. Maybe that should be a thing. Instead of all the decent teachers going into private teaching because they get paid better, maybe we should just abolish private schools altogether. And everyone has to start from scratch. Everyone has to go to the same school and have the same opportunities and have the same teachers and the same teaching principles. Maybe that should be a thing. And if you don't like the way that the public school's is teaching, then maybe you have to get your words in and we start a new education system that works for everybody, for the best interests of every child. Because every child matters. Just my thoughts. Anyway, I'm going to go for now. I've ranted enough. I will see you guys again. Don't worry too much about the budget. It isn't as bad as it sounds. You know. And don't forget, they're taking a penny off a pint. You know. So, there's that. So if you have 300, you get a free one. Alright, I will see you guys later. Don't freak out. But that was my 2 penneth worth, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye.